Welcome to our lab on endpoint protection. So this lab is about protecting our endpoint. So what is an endpoint? Endpoint is your workstation, your Windows 10, Windows 11, your Mac OS devices. Some people even use Linux desktops. I mean, these are endpoints. This is where you do your work, where you're productive. This is where you do your coding, you're writing your research, creating the greatest new invention, working in a call center, taking notes. This is your workstation, your work area. That's an endpoint. Could be an iPhone. Could be a tablet. Could be any device that has a CPU, RAM, storage that you are productive on, that you actually do work, is an endpoint. And there are so many different solutions, different ways to protect these endpoints. One of them is I'm going to use a Windows 10 machine. And on the Windows 10 machine, we'll have a look at how we can protect this endpoint. But protecting them from what? What are we protecting our endpoints from? We're going to protect them from things like malware, viruses. We're going to protect them against unauthorized access by using passwords. And if we want to share a folder, we want to make sure that only the people that we want to share it to gets that access. And so on. The other thing we want to stop is things like data theft. We want to defend against a denial of service. As you go along, these words will have a little bit more meaning, and you'll have a bit more understanding. But just follow along. This is a good topic. Very interesting. So it's a topic that you'll be expected to know as you finish your education and work into a production environment. These are these concepts you'll be performing your job role on or have some understanding. But what we're going to do, I'm going to show you, even though it's a bit early than you maybe not have, we haven't gone through things like firewalls yet, or encryption, or monitoring tools, or vulnerability scanning. We haven't got there yet, but these are the types of tools that help us with endpoint protection. So we'll go through this nice and smooth, and maybe slowly, and I'll talk to you as I go through this. When we get to that parts of our course where you will learn a lot more about, say for example, firewalls, you should come back to this activity and then do it again. But let's have a look at a few things. So we have all those attack vectors. Attack vectors, then angle and direction that we can get attacked from. One of them, we might get an email with a virus on it. That's a malware vector. Maybe someone brings in a USB drive you found outside lying in the car park. You put it into your computer and then infects your computer. So many different ways. Through wireless networking, someone breaks into our Wi-Fi. That's an attack vector. Different ways to attack our system. Today, for now, I'm going to show you with Windows 10, and this is very similar to Windows 11, by the way. And don't worry about you Mac users. I'm a Mac user myself. I love my Mac. I've got my Mac looking at me right now, upset that I'm using a Windows device. But most people use Windows 10 in the world, but us cool people use Macs, right? But can I tell you something? This is just a little bit of a sidetrack here. As cybersecurity experts, we have to be great at Windows. We have to be great at Mac OS, and we have to be amazing at Linux operating systems. So you have to know everything. iPhones, Android phones, IoT devices, cameras. We are the IT experts here. People rely on us for everything. So, I'm sorry, Mac. I'm talking to my Mac computer, by the way. I'm sorry. I'm using Windows 10 at the moment. So let's. But by the way, for the Mac OS users, I've got another video that addresses some of the the Mac iOS tools. For those loyal to Windows, you know what? Jump over and have a look too, because you never know. You might go out and work, and that workplace, they might not use Windows 10. They might only use Mac OS. What would you do if that's the case? You say to them, I'm sorry, I don't know how to use a Mac. It's good. Just go grab one of your friends or colleagues might have one. You can get one. Maybe a couple. They're a bit expensive. I don't want you to go and throw money away. But if you want to be passionate about this, work maybe a couple of hours overtime and save up money for a decent sized Mac. You can get a Mac Mini if you've got a student number somewhere for $850 or $1,000 full price. But up to you. Me personally, I just got a second-hand one. I just picked one up. I'll show you. I just picked one from the screen's damaged. The screen's cracked and broken. I'm not sure if you can see that. It doesn't bother me. They literally they're like, just take it. And the way that I use it, really smart, right? I just hook it up to a desktop, to a display, and it works fine. I do my demonstrations live for you on this laptop that no one wanted. So just keep your eye out, pick them up, and then store it safely so your family or friends don't get annoyed with you in the household. But anyway, all right, let's go and have a look at protecting our endpoint. Now, I've created, and this is I'm just going to get rid of this because I was doing a Wireshark demonstration earlier. But I'm going to use the same virtual machine that I've got. By the way, if anyone's, we will be going through a proper lab setup in the future. So what we're seeing here now, if you've got a Windows 10 machine, you can use your Windows 10 machine. You can go, you don't need to get any virtualization or anything like that. If you've got Windows 10 or 11, these exercises, you can do them here, no problems. But I'm using Hyper-V. If you want to use Hyper-V as well, you have to upgrade your Windows Home Edition to Pro Edition, and you can get it. You can upgrade for like $20. It's not that much these days. Windows 10 Professional, or you can download VirtualBox, which is free. But we will have labs later on because we're going to do a lot of labs in this course. This course is hands-on. It's not just us talking. We do a lot of walking too. So I've been talking a lot now. Let's do some walking. Let's go into Windows Defender, antivirus and protection. We're doing endpoint managing now. I'm only doing it on the one machine. In large, huge organizations, it will be somewhere centrally located somewhere. This will be done somewhere else, and it gets deployed on the virtual machines. But we're just learning, right? We're just getting the first steps in. So let's go over to, we'll click on Start menu, and there's so many ways you can get to the place that we want to get to. Windows loves giving you options. Microsoft, I don't call it Microsoft Windows, I call it Microsoft Options because they just give you so many ways of finding things. But you can do Start, and then you can, you can right click and go to Settings. I can type in here Update and Security. I can type virus and threat protection. I mean, it's like, there's just so many different ways, but this is where I want to go into. Type virus and threat protection. It's probably the better way to do this. So let's do this. So at the moment, this is our virus and threat protection. This is the area where we can do things like a quick scan. If I feel like my system's a bit sluggish, I'm not happy with the performance, I think there could be a virus, I'm a bit suspicious, I can do a quick scan. I can do some options, quick scan, full scan, custom, I can do an offline scan. There's just so many different options here. I can look at the protection history. Before, in the previous lab, I, on purpose, ran an application that looks like a virus, but it wasn't. I don't want to mess around with my network. But it showed me, it gave me some information here. That's pretty cool. This is Windows. This is free. You don't pay for this. You pay through it by getting Windows. This is available for you. And it tells you, in my local machine, that a threat was detected. And this is what the name of the virus was. This is endpoint protection, people. There are other applications out there that are far more sophisticated. At the moment, I'm using Kaspersky. Now, I am going to have to move to another one because Kaspersky is absolutely amazing and brilliant, fantastic tool. Unfortunately, there are some issues. We're going through a bit of a rough period in the world. A lot of bad things are happening. and the American government has said that we can't. The American won't allow Kaspersky products, and I'm thinking Australia might follow soon. So I'm looking into different anti-malware, but this is the Kaspersky Premium here, and it's got security. You can do file scans, you can do things like network attack blocker, safe browsing, email antivirus. There's a firewall there. Anti-phishing system watcher, anti-phishing system watcher. Shows performance. It's got my privacy. I can do a VPN here. It's got everything. Protect my home Wi-Fi. This is a classic application that's not Microsoft, that protects a home user in this situation, but can easily be incorporated into a corporate network. Most likely, the anti-malware and the endpoint software solutions is going to be something that's not Microsoft. There'll be another anti-malware solution there. So that's virus threat protection. We can, if we just run a quick scan, we'll do a quick one, and it was already scanning in the background, I think, because it just set this virtual machine up. But anyway, that'll scan. I've got nothing on my machine, and it's already 50,000 files. I don't know why, but anyway. So what's happening here is Windows Defender antivirus is scanning the system and having a look at files with a particular signature. Think of it like a DNA. So if you take the DNA out of a person, you can pretty much know that they are a person, they're human, right? You get a DNA from a cat, they can find out that it's a cat. So if we don't allow cats into a room, then we could have some sort of, this is futuristic, we could have a scanner scanning a cat's DNA and saying, no, you can't get into this building. Maybe when cats take over the world, they'll probably do the same to us. And they you know what, they probably already have taken over the world. Everyone's worried about AI, but I think it's the cats. And yeah, I'm a bit crazy sometimes. So that's virus and threat protection. At the moment, it hasn't found any threats. That's good. It's a brand new virtual machine. I don't expect to have any. And this is free. This is great. Back in the old days, we couldn't connect to the internet unless we had our own anti-malware. You could get free ones like AVG and Norton. You could buy Norton and these ones. You get a CD and install it, and then connect to the internet. Because if you didn't, you connected to the internet, I guarantee at that time when broadband came out, your machine would get infected in like minutes. It was crazy, insane. So Microsoft thought, well, you know what? Why don't we just build anti-malware? It's good. It does the job. It's okay. Personally, though, there are better solutions out there. Go out and investigate. But this is basically how Endpoint, in regards to anti-malware and viruses, this is what it kind of looks like across the different machines. Now, Mac is a bit different. Mac is, when you go into the Mac episode, you should still have anti-malware solutions on your Mac, but Apple is really strict and very, I'm looking at the words frugal, but they don't let programmers, developers do what they want. It has to be their way, the Apple way. That's the way Apple claims that they protect their systems. So that people who develop malware and viruses can't really, because they don't know the code, they don't know the kernel, they don't know, there's so many things in there that they don't know about, whereas Microsoft is very free and Linux is very free. So that's why Mac OS, but however, that doesn't mean that Mac OS is secure. Maybe more secure than Windows, but it's not secure. Okay, just be careful. We'll talk about that in our Mac OS episode on Endpoint. Let's have a look. So that's, you know what, I'm happy with that. I'll let it do its job in the background. But we're going to have a look at the firewall. Before we do, let me discuss with you, talk to you about firewalls. This might be the first time you've heard about it, but we are going to go deep into this in our subject 4 and a bit in our pen testing part in subject 6. But what we're doing here is there's different type of firewalls. There's a host-based firewall. This is the one that we're going to be working on. Then there's a network-based firewall, or a network-based firewall. Not fire, sorry, fire. Firewall. Firewall. So host-based firewall and a network firewall. Big differences here, and there's reasons why we have both. Okay, so this will be on our endpoint. So this is our workstation. Okay, so that's connected to maybe like a switch or a router, and that connects to the router there, and that connects to the internet, right? Internet. So we will have an endpoint solution here. We'll have a host-based firewall here. So why do we have this? So if we have a USB device, it's not going to come through the internet. It's physically going to be put in here. Our network can't detect it, can't find it. It's just different. It's on a different system. Also, we might have DVDs and CDs are not really a thing these days, but maybe it's been there's another host on the system which is connected to a switch. Maybe that has a virus and it affects here. So our host-based firewall that's on our system will protect our operating system, will protect our Windows 10, Windows 11. Whereas a firewall, a network-based firewall, will sit behind or in front of the router, and it will defend. It'll be like a firewall. It will defend on network attacks. So as it comes from the internet, it will defend against network traffic. Our endpoint, our host-based firewall, will also be able to detect the same kind of attacks, but maybe one of them got through. We have a firewall there. So maybe that attack got through somehow. It was encrypted. Maybe it was in a photo of a cat or a Mickey Mouse or something, and it just there's a virus in it and it got through somehow. It happens all the time. Firewalls are great, but things get through now and then. That's like the last defense. So it's like the first defense if you have a USB, or if you download an email, the email got through. So it's like first and last defense. But that's the difference between a host firewall and a network firewall. We will do an episode on a network-based firewall later on, but right now we're doing endpoint protection. Let's have a look at the network firewall. So Microsoft has one too. And if we look at it, you can see this here. Firewall and network protection. It's right there. It's free. It's a part of Windows that's given that to you, and that works straight out. That's starting to work. Okay. To access that, you can type in the search, firewall, and that will get you firewall and network protection. The other one I want to show you too is Windows Defender Firewall with Advanced Security. So click that one as well if you're following along. Don't worry, everything will be written in a how-to guide as well. We've got you covered, don't worry. But I just want to show you this. This is what the firewall looks like in the Advanced Security, right? In the back with Windows Security here, we go to Firewall and Network Protection. So let's put that side by side. Let's look at that side by side. And there's a reason why we use either or. Oops. It doesn't like being... Okay, we'll try that. Okay, we'll do that for now. So if we go to Firewall Network Protection, all this does, so this is a nicer way of looking at it, but it's not very useful. You can't really do that real deep configuration. But if you click on advanced settings here, so you have the ability, click on that. It takes you to this advanced security setting anyway, so you will get there either way. So I've got that there already. Got advanced settings. Yep, we can allow an app through a firewall. So this is just like an easy way to do things. I can, whatever app I've got here, I can select or I can deselect. But to be honest, it's really not that useful. We can change settings and all that kind of stuff there. But the power comes in the advanced security. This is where the real firewall is done. Remember, we're configuring the firewall for our endpoint device. So we've got some rules here. By the way, this is, if you ever do your network or security plus CompTIA exams, you'll have a question like this in exam probably. So this is a good one to keep aware of. So this is inbound. These are rules coming into our host, and there's a rule, and these outbound rules is rules going out of our host machine. It doesn't affect other parts of our network, our other devices, our other operating system. It's just for this operating system. For a production environment, a big corporation, all this stuff is configured from a central location and then deployed to the network. But this is a small network, and this is a great way to learn about this. I mean, pretty similar, these configurations, like the kind of feel of it is very similar. But say someone is pinging my machine and I can't get the pings because there's a firewall blocking it. We can scroll down and we can go down to one of these ones here, echo request in. If we double click that, this is what the firewall looks like, this configuration. There will be an exercise for you to follow along, so you can do this. You can go along. So go along with this demonstration. But if you look here, you could see that this particular rule, this echo request rule, is allowing the connection. So this is allowing. So you can allow a configuration. You can allow some traffic to come in, or you can block the connection. If it's like, if you're pinging, ping is like a way of sending messages from one device to another. You can allow or block, and this is on a Windows machine. And you can configure it. You can go really deep and really granular bit. But for now, this is enough to configure our firewall. I can go there, inbound rules. If I scroll this back out, I can create a new rule. I can just create a brand new one. I can block programs, a port number. What I would do is I'd block telnet port, the telnet port, which I think is port 23. So I'm going to block that port number. I never want telnet to come in. So TCP specific local ports, I'm just going to write 23, which is telnet. Oh, I better double check that. Telnet port number. I'm sure it's 23. Yeah, it is 23. Yep. So no more telnet coming in, and that's, we all should be doing this because telnet's bad. It's when you do a telnet connection, you're opening up your system with unencrypted network traffic. Not good. So I'm going to click next, and I'm going to block the connection. So from now, and this is the domain private. This is like everywhere that I'm connected into. If it's a domain like a workplace, if at home, or if I've got using a laptop at the Wi-Fi at a cafe, this is blocking everything. Click on next. I'm going to give it a name, block telnet. Yeah, I might put port 23 in there. And write description. I am blocking all telnet incoming traffic. This is for people to understand, we don't need this to work, but it's good to have something describing to you. And that's it, that's working. That is right now working. And if I were to try and telnet into here, I wouldn't be able to. There'd be a block into this machine. The other topic about, there is one more that I wanted to talk about, but you might not have this feature. Well, I think you might. Let's try something here. We'll go to the C drive. Go in here. We'll create a new folder. What I want to do is I want to do some encryption. I want to encrypt some of my files. That's a part of endpoint protection too. I want to encrypt. So I've got secret cookie recipe. Love cookies, so I don't know if that's how you spell that. But I'll create new. I'll put a new file in there. Secret cookies. Copy that. I'm gonna just open it and just put some stuff in there. There's no real strategy behind this. I'm just putting some data in there. Save it. File and save. Close it, and now I've got that secret file there. Now I should encrypt this. So if I right click, go to properties, security, go to advanced, and I might not be able to because I'm just checking something here. Because we're on a Windows, I think I've got a Windows Desktop, Windows Pro Edition. Hang on a second. I'm sorry, my mind is all over the place. I'm thinking of file share. I don't want to file share right now. That's a topic for another time. I just want to encrypt this file. And the way to do that is right click, properties, and you go to under the general tab, select on advanced, and then I can encrypt contents. Okay, and then you click on OK. So apply. I'm just going to apply the file only. That will now encrypt. So you'll notice there. You'll notice right there, there's a little lock on it. Let me do that a bit better. There's a little lock there. That's encrypted. So that's part of endpoint protection. We want to encrypt our data on a local hard drive. There is another tool called BitLocker. And for BitLocker to work, you'll need Windows Pro Edition. I'd consider upgrading your machine to take full advantage of that. In fact, I think I might have it on mine. BitLocker, yeah, I actually do. That's cool. So I can turn BitLocker on my hard drive, and by doing that, if someone grabs my laptop, rips the hard drive out, and inserts it into another machine, or tries to get the data on it, they can't, because BitLocker has encrypted. And the only way we can unencrypt it is if they bring it back to me on my original machine. If they don't have the original machine, they will never be able to access those files. Okay, so that's part of our endpoint protection. But that's endpoint protection in the end for you. There's a few more topics that we go through, like doing vulnerability scanning, where we will install an application called Nessus, which will scan for vulnerabilities of our system. Actually, there is one more thing I wanted to show you. Apologies, and I'm glad I remembered this. So we did some traffic monitoring with Wireshark in another episode, but I want to show you the logs on this system, because that's a part of network. That's a part of endpoint protection too. We want to see the logs of the system, and the way to get there, you can just type events, event viewer, and we can have a look at the events. Now, just a word of warning: it's not the most attractive or beautiful application in the world, but it has everything we need. These logs usually are sent to a SIEM server or log server somewhere, but the ones that I want to show you, if you go to Windows Logs, you can go to the security section there, and you can have a look at people who attempt to break into your Windows environment. You can actually see that there was an attempt. So I've got a log on here, and that log on was successful because I logged in. I had the password. See that successful login? So you might want to see if someone's tried to. Maybe you left your laptop at at the cafe and you went back for it, you want to see if anyone attempted to break into your Windows machine, there you go, it's right there. So that's Event Viewer. Have a look into it, play around. You can do other things like for example, you can click on the event ID down here, go into Google and see what you come up with. Let's do that now while we've got you. We go to Google. Just Google this, really. No one ever remembers this stuff off by heart, and if they did, that would be impressive. So I'll do event 4624, and it'll tell me a bit more information about it. An account was successfully logged in. So this is a great tool if you're not sure about something. Gives you some information. This event generates when a logged session is created. But that's all I've got for you today. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you for watching.